What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tesla Fix. Today we have a special episode about the Tesla earnings. And it was astonishing what Tesla also said on the earnings call. It was interesting to hear that they are on a good track. But Wall Street always seems to be a little bit disappointed. We always see some dips after the earnings, and yeah, the Q3 earnings of 2023, in my opinion, were very great and actually on track and pretty good. So today I want to add a person here to the interview and to this show to discuss this topic, and that's Randy Kirk, everybody. So make some noise for Randy Kirk. I'm pretty glad to interview him because he also wrote a pretty interesting book that I also very much enjoyed. Lars Strandritter from Best in Tesla also co-authored a little bit on this book. Was a project with they did together. It was pretty awesome to see that. And Randy, of course, with his experience in writing books, this was a success actually. But so Randy, maybe you can just talk a little bit about yourself, what you did, and and how the book was, how everything went through. Yeah.
Well, so I have had a weird life and career. I have a law degree, so I thought I was going to be a lawyer, and that was until I met some lawyers.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was like, no, I don't want to be around these people. So I ended up following what had been more of a course for my life anyway, which was to become an entrepreneur. I've started over 45 companies. About half of those have been successful.
Awesome.
I currently have an online business with Amazon. Every day I'm shipping out products on Amazon.
Okay.
I had a large company. I had a company with 100 employees, manufacturing companies, making plastic water bottles for the bicycle industry. Bicycle style water bottles, you know, the ones you squeeze.
Yeah.
And also some other products for the bicycle industry. And then some of the companies have been larger and smaller over the years in all kinds of different areas. But when I learned about Elon Musk, I was super intrigued, because even though he is writ large, I mean, he is like an entrepreneur on another level.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could identify with him in so many different ways, in terms, in leadership method, in the way that he hired, in the way that he managed people, in the way that he is vertical. I wrote an article for Inc. magazine years ago on how to go from virtual to vertical, because I had a company that was 100% virtual, no building, no employees, no equipment, no anything. And within 2 years, we'd gone 100% vertical. So in so many different ways, I could really identify with Elon. So I ended up writing first the Elon Musk method.
Yep.
And the Elon Musk method was about Elon. And it was really 16 different ways that Elon got it right. And there were things that you could apply to any small business. And it was like, wow, I've been writing business books for 40 years. I've had quite a few very successful business books. And, but this was like a very special one, because how often do you see someone actually employing all of these methods at such a high level? One person across the board at a high level. And so I felt it really needed to be written, and that it would be something that entrepreneurs could learn from, apply to their own businesses. And it did well. It's been translated into 5 languages. It made me money. That's always how I judge as an entrepreneur. If it doesn't make money, I'm not interested. Anyway, so then I thought, there's another book here. And the other book would be about how Tesla, what is Tesla?
Yeah.
So many people like you and I have started YouTube channels where the idea of the YouTube channel was to get rid of the FUD.
Absolutely.
To deal with the misinformation, to deal with the nonsense. But nobody had written a book doing that. And so I got 3 other experts together, and we wrote this book together that really just goes through every aspect of Elon's companies and really lays it out as to how those companies are, in terms of their strengths and their weaknesses, their moats, their margins, their expectations, their future, the mission statements, why mission statements matter, et cetera. And that book is also done extremely well. It's been out for 7 and a half, eight, almost 8 months now.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with the sales. And the YouTube channel is also doing very well. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. So everybody, I'm going to link the channel, of course, on top of the right corner here. Yeah. So Randy, I think today we also going to talk about company culture a little bit, because I think that's very important at Tesla and for their success. So this is something we're going to prepare for the end more or less here,
Okay.
because of course, I'm from Germany, and the top. So as for you to know, my background is in media design and communication design. I know about how to influence people in doing stuff, buying or different stuff, or how to communicate messages. How to communication design focuses on the company culture, as well as how can we communicate with everybody in every department, and how are they connected. How are the communication streams built up and everything, and it's interesting to see that in Germany it's interesting to see the cultural differences between the Germans and the Americans, how they do business. Here in Germany we always secure everything, and it's pretty different in the US. That's why many strong companies came out of this system actually, and in Germany as well, of course. I don't want to discredit the great engineers here, and many startups were bought from Tesla as well in Germany. Or, for example, Roman Automation was a big purchase of Tesla, and they are we know that we have those hidden champions in Germany that are pretty strong actually. Small companies, family owned, that are pretty leading in the world actually, and it's interesting to compare those things.
To give you a little parentheses
here.
Of
course. Yeah.
My professional career, actually, when I was still in law school, 22, 23 years old, I forget, I think it was 23 years old. And I was the importer. Well, I wasn't the importer. I was working for the importer of Abus locks. You probably don't pronounce it that way in Germany. ABUS. Maybe it's Abus.
Abus. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Second large. Well, at the time, it was the second largest manufacturer of padlocks in the world. I don't know where they are now. A huge industrial company in Germany. I think they also make cranes and other things. Big.
Yeah. That's true. Or specialized equipment. I don't know really what they do. I'm not into that, but I know the brand, of course. I know.
So I cut
as padlocks. I know them. Yeah.
I cut my teeth in business. I learned how to import. I learned how to deal with a European product that was being imported in the country that needed to have a packaging
the
chain.
Regulations and everything.
Just the packaging itself was horrible for the United States. So we changed the packaging, we changed the designs. It was really a lot of fun. And so I started out, we have something in common. See?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay. So I think at first let's dive into the elephant in the room. Of course, is Tesla earnings of Q3, and I have a clip here with me that I wanted to share. It's about 1.5 minutes long, and it's about the earnings and everything summarized by Tesla Boomer Mama of Twitter. She did a great job there, so we don't have to run everything through. So I'm gonna share this for 1 second here.
Discussion with a major automaker about licensing FSD. This is not surprising in the wake of failed efforts like Argo at Ford. Autonomy is hard. It requires vast amount of data, and I believe many automakers will fail to achieve it on their own. To which Elon, during the call, answered, yes, this is a big deal. So this is it. This is the big deal. This is what is happening. I mean, that, and I love it that the Wall Street doesn't get it. Please, this is a good
during the call. He did say that the analyst that I think who's you should really following is ARK Invest, because of their analysis for FSD is so accurate. Yeah. Or he didn't say that, but he just said that I think their analysis is very good. I recommend looking at ARK Invest. And I just did an interview with Tasha Keeney. So folks, if you haven't seen that, go check out my YouTube videos and watch that video, because it means something now, because Elon basically called out ARK Invest. And you got to hear, and people thought that their analysis for FSD and $1,000 stock price and the cost per mile and how many cars will be driving in robotaxi was crazy, because they say that robotaxi won't be happening for years. But it really feels like that the confidence for the entire company, not just Elon, but we heard Ashok Kalaswamy do his presentation about 3-4 weeks ago. Very confident. He says that all the new tech that he was showing in that presentation will be in customers' hand, he believes, by the end of this year.
Yeah. So this was more on FSD, but I think this was one of the highlights actually from the earnings call, and or from the Q3 earnings. So maybe you want to comment on this already, because it's interesting to.
So once again, I identified with Elon.
Mm-hmm.
It was like as soon as he said it, I've been a salesman my whole life. I started selling greeting cards door to door when I was 5.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I understand sales really, really well. A lot of my books are heavily oriented to sales. And what Elon was doing was saying, and I've done this so many times, he was saying to the entire customer base out there, I'm talking to one of your competitors right now about FSD. So if you're interested, you better get on the phone. That's what that was all about. He couldn't have been more excited to get that out there. And so, yeah, it's really obvious that they think they're close. They're close enough to start talking to customers about how to employ it on the cars. I'm mixed between whether I think it's Ford or Mercedes that was on the call. I mean, it's on the phone. I think Mercedes has less investment in their own version. And so it'll be easier for them to just say, whatever we've invested, we'll just throw it away. We'll just go with Tesla. They also have a relationship with Tesla from years ago, which they should have actually kept that stock because they would have made so much money.
They bite it in their fist all the time, I think. Yeah.
And then I think the other option is the most likely is Ford.
Mm-hmm.
But for maybe a different reason. Ford said in an interview earlier this year that they had 105 or 110 different companies working on their software. And that one of the biggest challenges they had was how they integrate that software. And if they want to change one little thing, it might affect 15 or 20 or how many of those companies. And so Tesla could come in and basically become their entire software source. They'd eliminate 120 vendors. They'd have all of their software throughout the entire car done by one company. They could reroute and change up their methods for their wiring and for their Bluetooth and everything else inside, and add on full self-driving right on top of it. It sounds to me like a dream for Ford that could really catapult them to right up to the lead of what's going on, at least in the U.S. market.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have this clip right here. Fortunately, I have it on hand right here. To maybe it's just a few seconds, so we're gonna jump in.
Car companies haven't written software like this.
Yeah.
Ever. They've never written software. So we're literally writing how the vehicle operates, the software to operate the vehicle for the first time ever.
Yeah. So and what he followed through was exactly that they have like suppliers of software parts for example, for the seats, they work together with Bosch, for example, or like you said, 160 vendors or something. It's absolutely crazy. And this is also like every legacy car company actually does it in Germany as well. VW did the same thing a long time, and Audi and everybody. So this is common in that they outsource everything. Doesn't make sense with software. I think it's horrible, and that's what shows in the interfaces of the German car manufacturers and also the American legacy car companies, of course.
So in the Elon Musk mission, we did say, licensing will be a big deal. They have so many different things that they could license already, but I think that the legacy car companies were nervous about coming to Tesla for stuff because they thought it might make them look small to be grabbing off technology from this upstart. And also I think they were maybe, as they should be, pretty nervous about this upstart now becoming something way more than an upstart. So I think there was a challenge for them to actually pick up the phone and call and start having these conversations. But the whole thing with the superchargers, that broke through. So that broke through that dust, that broke through that wall. Now it's like open season. It's okay to talk to Tesla about tech.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've mentioned something like who is the mysterious car company, the big OEM, the big car manufacturer. You've mentioned Mercedes, and I have a perspective on this that might be interesting here. I don't think that it's Mercedes. It's not probable in my opinion because they already invested heavily in their own drive pilot. Of course, not as much as Tesla here, and Tesla really did it and had it on the road. I mean, I would be surprised, but of course it could be, but I think it's also a pride thing. I think people from Germany are too proud to admit something like this. That's part of our culture. The competition, like we are very aggressive in the market with competitors. VW also falls off the table there because they have their own solution with Mobileye. I could see Audi do that because Audi had really problems with that, but they are inside the VW group. That's why they're gonna use the solution of the VW group, of course,
Yes.
even if they seek out different things. So all of the companies work autonomously more or less, but still they comply with VW Group, of course. So I assume it's Ford. That's my guess here. Yeah, because the Germans are too proud to take something like this. I think that's just a speculation of mine. Yeah. So. Or maybe we are proven wrong and it's BYD actually or something like this. This could this would be totally.
The reason for a BYD would be, I think that BYD, first of all, they already have a relationship, BYD and Tesla, and both of the CEOs have a personal relationship already, so that would make it easier. The other thing would be, I think that maybe they get each other more because they are founders, they are CEOs, they're a CEO of that type. As opposed to a CEO that comes in with their master's degrees hung on their MBAs hung on the wall. These are guys that are, in the dirt. They're out in the factory.
That's true.
I think they get one another. So it could be BYD. Yeah.
Yeah, BYD would be interesting because they don't sell in the US because of the tariffs. They would have to make a factory in Mexico or in the US to really sell to the US. But for the Chinese market, it could be a possibility, I think, because I think Tesla could realize that the Chinese competitors will have such a huge incentive to copying FSD as soon as they can, because they already did with Xpeng really copied them and stole code from them. Of course, earlier version, and then it separated, and Tesla's on a whole different level now, totally different ballpark here. But this could be interesting if Tesla wants to penetrate the Chinese market at first with licensing, so the FSD thing is already solved, so they don't have any competition anymore in that sense. Because then the Chinese government said, "Why, we have a solution? It's fine. Let's just go with that. Why develop our own stuff? Just take this." This would be like a possibility. It could be very, very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. So, what else in combination with the earnings call was for you also a very big highlight besides FSD and the partnership with the unknown company? So,
well, if we don't bury the lead here, if we go for the absolute number one, as far as I'm concerned, see, I thought that was wonderful. I thought it was a good thing for Elon to do, and I think that is going to be a big revenue source. But the number one revenue source of the future of Tesla has nothing to do with cars. Their number one revenue source in the future is Optimus, and so for me, the biggest news of the entire thing was, we have a limiting, we're going to tell you now, here's the limiting factor. Okay. So the limiting factor is we need to be able to make these actuators ourselves, because everybody else is the other actuators that are out there, they don't work for us. And we're going to make them smaller and tighter and better. And we're going to have those 100% ready to go in November. So I don't know exactly what they meant by 100% ready to go. We've had some discussions about that with some of my friends. They either meant that, in fact, the machinery to produce them will be ready to go in November, so they can start producing actuators, in quantities in November, or they will have all of the design all of the, what do you want to call it, first outs done. But basically what he said was, we will have an Optimus that will have all of our own actuators in it. That will be the final thing that we need to make Optimus ready to go. And so even if that's even the worst case, and all they do is have final design, well, from there to manufacturing in quantity, no more than 6 months. No more than 6 months. So now we're talking about actuators in 6 months. If they have the actuators in 6 months, obviously they're excellent at building motors. No problem with the plastic items, no problem with levers. And I mean, the rest of it's really super simple. So I'm thinking that they've already hired this guy to start putting the line together for Optimus. I'm thinking that maybe third or at the latest fourth quarter, we're going to see actual production, actual mass production. Well, nobody's expecting that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's totally crazy. And you're right. It's interesting to see that, especially when they started to. I'm gonna switch over again. When they started to put Optimus on display everywhere. That means they have a lot of Optimuses laying around. So that means they are already in different phases, and they can just showcase the models that they don't use anymore. That's the thing. And you're totally right. It's astonishing what's happening with Optimus there. And people tend to forget that this is just the first iteration of mass-produced humanoid robots. That will train the neural nets even more with vision in a slower pace, which is much easier than in a faster pace, more or less in a faster pace, because nothing is changing so much. That's why it can reiterate what the Optimus, like what it's seeing. Tesla's goal isn't to have prototypes like backflipping parkour running a robot like Boston Dynamics. It's more about mass production, and they gonna do the version 1 of the Optimus bot in mass production, and now add 5, 6, 10, 15 years. They're gonna be so far ahead because they can mass produce these things, update these things. They have the same software capabilities like the cars. So
over the air update.
Pretty interesting stuff. And you're totally right. This, I mean, with Elon Musk, we are in such a territory of the future that we can't even grasp numbers, actually, how much value this has, and everything. We can calculate everything together. I mean, the numbers are already out. We have them here. But yeah, what do they mean? It's just like a quarter. They are profitable still. I'm gonna put them up here, the numbers for everybody to see. So they had a good quarter and everything. But yeah, how do you view the contemporary things that are happening in between the quarters and something like Optimus, which is like totally exciting? I think it's crazy how Elon is managing it, that it's still profitable with those visionary projects he does, because those could be failure projects left and right, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. How's your opinion on that?
Well, one of the things we spend a lot of time in the Elon Musk mission talking about is how Tesla has the highest return on invested capital probably of any company in history. You can't yet quite see it. If you do the normal analysis of return on invested capital, it'll still look like Apple is higher. So Tesla's sitting around 30 and Apple is around 50. But that's because Apple is a mature company. And so their numbers have flown through, have come through all the way. But all the invested capital that's gone into Optimus and Dojo and Cybertruck, and FSD, none of that has come through the pipeline yet. Once all those projects start to make money, their return on invested capital is going to make Apple look like last year's news. It's going to be crazy. They put up a building and to make 500,000 cars, and it cost $2 billion. And then Ford announces a building to make 200,000 cars, and it costs $5 billion. I mean, it's just like, how can this even be possible? How can a car company today even think about building that building if their return on invested capital is going to be a fraction of Tesla's return on invested capital on that factory. It just blows your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to add something here. Maybe you can answer this also. That how do you view Tesla's spending on R&D actually? Because I've heard many Wall Street analysts also talking about that. Oh, look, they don't invest as much in R&D. That doesn't mean that it isn't effective. That's the thing that we should see. Elon also commented on this. Maybe you have something on this as well.
Yeah, I have something. I can make it really simple for anybody that doesn't understand the difference between Tesla and virtually every other company on the planet right now. There are, I think, now 20 people on the development team at Twitter. 20.
Okay.
20 people on the development team. They had like 200 or something. What you call it? BYD comes in and he says, "Oh, we have 600,000 employees. We have to figure out how to do it the Tesla way." I mean, oh my gosh, they don't believe in big groups. They don't believe in meetings. They don't believe they have a methodology which is a flat system across their culture where everybody comes in and they pick up a phone and they go on the phone and they say, "Oh, that looks like an interesting thing to work on." And then they go and join that group for a day or 2 days. They iterate and iterate and iterate within a couple of days in that group. And then they go back on their phone because they're done with that. Now they go on their phone and like, "Oh, here's another interesting project." I mean, nobody runs a business that way. I mean, I thought I was pretty advanced in my little manufacturing company because we did involve our production people, our lead people from the production department in our innovation meetings. You know, they were in for brainstorming sessions, and we thought that was advanced to be bringing in these, you know, what would today be maybe a $50,000 a year person to come in on meetings on the innovation side. But no, they've got, are you kidding me? They're on the floor standing next to them on the line, innovating on it's just, it's a whole nother level above what Toyota did with Denning. It's a whole nother level over what General Electric did, you know, under Robert, no. Oh,
you're blanking out.
The CEO for General Electric that took them to the moon. It's right. Welch.
I don't know.
Welch. Under Welch. Yes.
Welch. Okay.
Welch was, you know, if you took an MBA course even today, you're still going to learn how what Welch did with General Electric. So anyway, but Elon Musk will be the only thing on the coursework of the future because he just completely blew all those other systems out of the water. It's just unbelievable.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's pretty interesting how this developed actually, and we could witness it. For me personally, was the moment when I saw two rockets land side by side at the same time, and and then I started really to look into everything. And 2018 was like,
for me it was a different rocket launch. I didn't even know about Tesla. I got in somebody's Model S. I think it was.
Okay. Yeah, that's also a kind of rocket launch.
I like fast cars. And I was like, oh my gosh, what in the world are we talking about here? And that began my journey from that day.
Yeah, pretty interesting. I think I don't want to roll out the because now we could go into the details of the culture, but I still want to stay on a little bit on track with the earnings in 1 second. And I've also shown that tweet already for the audience here, and maybe you can, because it's like pretty good a summary, like the catalyst from earnings call. You've tweeted this. Maybe you can comment on this because we talked about now Optimus a little bit, and I totally agree. It's totally interesting as well. For me, the next topic is also like a huge deal that nobody really still can't grasp because the margins on the megapacs, for example, are very good. That's of course Tesla Energy and the energy storage. So maybe you can comment on your catalysts from earnings call here.
Yeah. So the reason that factories is all in caps there is because it's plural, and we've known this. Of course, I was the first person the Elon Musk mission was the very first place that anybody started talking about Lathrop, anybody started talking about the energy rollout. We were so far ahead on this subject. And we're still far ahead because we're still talking about what the future is on these energy storage. We're not talking about one factory or two factories or three factories or four factories. We're talking about a factory, maybe multiple factories on every continent, maybe 20 factories, maybe 25 factories before it's done. We're talking about $400 billion a year in sales. And Elon says that's going to be at 25%. So you're talking about $100 billion a year of earnings just from energy storage in 2030. That's the plan. And it isn't hard. As a factory guy, I can tell you, I look at how hard it is to make a car, not interested. How hard it is to make a battery, oh my gosh, never mind. But I think I could probably set up that Lathrop deal. Now, I couldn't do the software, and I probably couldn't come up with some of the techniques that they're using in the cooling and whatnot. But as far as setting up that factory line and making that thing go, that's kind of a no-brainer. And so to put up another one in Shanghai, and I think they'll put one in eastern United States, probably one in Canada near a lot of the resources up in Canada.
Makes sense, yeah.
Then a couple in Europe, a couple, more in the Asian area, probably one in Australia again, because the materials are right there. I wouldn't be surprised to see them put up a refinery, a lithium refinery in Australia, along with a megapac factory. So anyway, whole bunches of amazing opportunities, but that's one that people are like, oh, I see. It's not very sexy, not that interesting. Well, $100 billion a year in profit in 7 years from now, and this is a product that they're already making, and they've already told us they're going to do it. And you can investigate the TAM, the total addressable market. You can find out that it's infinite. I don't know if you're aware. I had this interview where this expert was telling me the number one use for these is actually the utilities being able to manage their loads. We're not talking about even putting it with the wind or putting it with the solar. Even if there's no wind or no solar, you can buy these batteries and you can put them in as load managers. And that's the number one use right now that people are buying them for, is for load managing. Then you've got solar and wind. Then you've got factories and governments. Then you've got the actual superchargers where you need to put them in wherever there's a supercharger or a mega charger for the semi trucks and other electric trucks. It's just unbelievable how many are going to be sold, not just by Tesla, but by others. But getting to that 400 billion thing in sales in 2030 seems like a no-brainer, and yet why isn't Wall Street got that figured into the price?
We don't know.
I can't figure it out. Makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I wanted to ask you, does that tie in that the megapacs, for example, also replace those peaker plants? Is that also tied into this management?
So
like the load management?
Peaker plant is like the third. So the management of the grid, that's the number one TAM right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Then you have below that, you've got the actual solar and wind. Again, maybe your audience knows or doesn't know what was holding up solar and wind for the last 3 years.
Storage.
They didn't have any storage.
Exactly.
So now that they got the storage, they can go crazy putting in these wind and solar places. New reporting out last week was that a very conservative estimate was 1/3 of all energy produced in 2030 will be solar and wind. 1/3 of all energy produced.
That's absolutely crazy. Yeah.
Crazy. And that was a conservative. That was like a government agency of some kind that was coming out with that number. So you can imagine how conservative that is. So yeah, peaker plants come under that. And then you've got the in-house use, eating your own dog food, putting it into the various Tesla. And it's not just the superchargers and megachargers. They're putting in what? I forget, 160. No, how many is it they're putting down in Texas? In Austin?
Yeah,
It's
something over. It's over 100. I know that. But
160 of them down in Texas.
yeah, it could be
Just for the one
160. Yeah.
factory. Just for the one factory.
And how do you think? Because I think that's very interesting. When Tesla starts to get to run rates, let's say 10 million cars in 2030.
Right.
And now we play out this scenario, and then we, in combination with Tesla Energy, what do you think how Tesla can utilize if the market starts to be saturated of the car market? I mean, it's totally, now we're in utopia territory now, but still, how do you think that ties into that? Because for me, it's interesting. I think they have the resources, they have the batteries. Oh, this year car sales a little bit down. Let's produce more megapacks. Yeah, that's my theory. But what do you think on that? I think it's very interesting.
So when we were finishing up the book, and we had already done all of the moats, and we had 21 moats in the book. If you don't buy the book for any other reason, you want to read about the 21 moats. But all of a sudden we were like, oh my gosh, we've got another moat, and it's the most important one, except for Elon Musk himself. And that was the flexibility moat. Their ability to turn on a dime, the pivot when necessary. So that would be a perfect example that you're talking about. Oh, we have extra batteries over here. Okay, put them into more semi-trucks, or put them into more energy storage, or put them into
more Tesla bots, or
whatever Tesla. So you have all this flexibility. Oh, there's not enough semiconductors. Oh, let's see. We'll just go we'll use this semiconductor and we'll change it, while everybody else is throwing up their arms and they don't know what to do. So the flexibility mode is just massive. So that's just one more. And so, so I did a quickie analysis, one of those back of the napkin deals. And it's like, okay, how about 100 billion in profit for the cars? And that counts Cybertruck in 2030, 100 billion. That's very makeable. 100 billion in income, in profits for the megapacks. And that counts Powerwalls. I count both, Powerwalls and megapacks together. And then $100 billion in semi-truck. Nobody talks about the semi-truck.
Yeah.
There's 4 million large trucks sold per year in the world. So I just want Tesla to do their normal 25% share. So that'd be 1 million of the semi-trucks a year. Well, that would probably give them 100 billion in profits in the semi-trucks, because they're going to be $250,000 to $350,000 a piece. So anyway, so there's another 100 billion. So that's just in products that they're already actually making, that are already working, that we already know that they have. So there's 300 billion in profit. How much is Apple's profit right now?
I'm not sure. I don't.
Around 100 billion. So that's 3 apples. So that's 3 apples just with those 3 product lines.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I think it's a good opportunity to show this again, how much how much revenue they generated here. And it's still, in comparison to what they can achieve, it's still very low. And it's interesting to see that like you said, they have those projects in the pipeline. That's important. And if they start to make money, then we're gonna see more of the green bars here. Actually, the green bars are gonna expand here, to say it very simply. And it's absolutely astonishing. So short term doesn't interest me, actually, in like many Tesla shareholders that are long. Of course, I'm a shareholder again, and I have to put it out there. And it's because I have never seen a company operating like this. And it's like a breath of fresh air to see the execution, actually, because we have so many systems that are so stiff, they can't move anymore. It's already, especially in the car industry, it's such an old industry. It's 100 years old industry, and it comes from the Industrial Revolution, where the customer is just the last thing of the production line. And the customer centricity is so important to make products that people really enjoy. And that's the best example. For example, VW have problems with their sales. They produce like for example, 40,000. They've produced 40,000 ID buses, and they sold the half of that, and that means that's pretty interesting. So this means the EV in German news, all over the news is EV like the EV market is down. Nobody wants to buy EVs. No. Nobody wants to buy crap EVs. And that's the main thing. And who has a superior EV, especially in the range department? Of course, luxury and everything else. I won't say that German cars aren't top notch in quality control and in the quality of the cars. Of course, they also cut costs there, especially in the EV space. They cut costs there, and it shows even with Mercedes. And many Germans are pretty mad on Mercedes for their quality inside of the car. It's pretty interesting. I think it's not as prevalent for the Americans. They didn't hear that, I think.
Yes.
Because everybody like has this mantra of, oh, Mercedes is very good quality. The interiors are great, and Americans are used to different kinds of qualities, like more like it really didn't matter as much. That's why German cars are so special for many people. Oh, the BMWs, look at how they're going to produce. The panel gaps are perfect. But Tesla gets there. Tesla has a factory in Germany now, and this means they're going to get the quality control more in. The Chinese are also very great with quality control. They learned a lot in the last 10 years. It's pretty crazy to see that. And yeah, how do you view this topic of Tesla with the competition with VW, for example, and selling is great at the market.
We can spend an hour on that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna take it completely, because my goal in life is to always bring up something new that your people are maybe that your audience maybe not thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please.
And again, the moats are so big, the moats are so huge.
Yeah.
But the moat that I think about all the time is Twitter, not Twitter as a company. Elon Musk is in constant conversation with consumers of his product and consumers of the competition.
That's true.
No CEO. When I ran my bicycle water bottle company, I wasn't in contact with the consumer. You know, I went to shows, and sometimes I talked to a consumer in the booth. You know, maybe I go to a race and I talk to somebody that was using it, you know, as a bicycle rider. You know, but I wasn't in the. Elon has minute by minute conversations with his base. And it's like no CEO in history has ever had this opportunity to be able to hear, oh, what about this? What happened? Why are you doing it this way? Oh, we would love to see more camo on the Cybertruck. You know, oh, the camo truck is going to be the most photographed, you know, product in history. I mean, it just is constant. And then he's a teenager on Twitter in so many other ways too. But he's out there. He's just one of the guys. He's in the locker room. You know, we're slapping hands and talking about numbers and talking about stats, you know, just like we were, you know, on the baseball team or the football team, you know, oh my God. Who has that?
No one. No CEO communicates even because of fear getting sued or something, even that. So it's important to do that.
Our fear of being told you're wrong. And Elon says, please tell me you're wrong. Please tell me where I'm wrong. I want the feedback loop. I want to be told I'm wrong so I can fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a huge point. Absolutely. Yeah, I also think the company culture for me also, I've analyzed this for my master's thesis, which I didn't follow through, sadly, because I became a father and my job and everything, it was too much. So I had to stop it, sadly. But I've still observed, I compared VW to Tesla in my master's thesis and compared the wording of the onboarding communication material they get. And Tesla has, of course, the anti-handbook.
Yes.
And VW has a 25-page compliance thing that they have to go through, and basically it says, don't do this, don't talk to them, don't talk to the press, don't do this, only talk to your superior in the level when you talk about something. blah 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 stuff like this, and of course also benefits and stuff. But mainly the feeling you get is, I have to be careful where I step my toes. And in the anti-handbook handbook on the other side, you of course know it, is use your own head, use common sense. We encourage you to use your brain here. If you have something that accelerates the rate of innovation, please tell us. Please send Elon Musk directly an email if it's necessary. Yeah, of course. You won't send him a meme and just that's a stupid thing. You'll be out in a second. Of course, that's something you can. But also with the list
don't
of
tell me no, and don't tell me you can't do it.
Yeah.
If I say I want it done, don't tell me that I can't. Now, if you want to go try and you want to come back and say you need another week, that's a whole nother story. Don't tell me you can't.
Yeah, that's absolutely. So how is your view on this? Because I think it's very important, like the culture. Because the modes, you've already talked about the modes. I think, Tesla is unprecedented.
It's just huge. And I don't want to go to bragging, but that's how I ran my company. And my people, they called the company name was AC International. They called it AC University.
Okay.
They said that's where they came to learn. And that some of them are now their own entrepreneurs running their own businesses. They started with me when they were 18 years old running a machine, and now they're running a business. It's the same way he does. He turns out, how many entrepreneurs has he turned out of Tesla already who have learned their trade with Tesla and then gone on to start their own companies? And then sometimes it's like JB has now come back to be on the board. I mean, who does? Again, point me to other companies where it's that free rolling, where okay, come in, even if we only got you for 3 years, we'll take what you can give us for 3 years, and if you want to go out and do your own thing, that'll be fantastic. The way they hire, you talked about the hiring, the onboarding. It's not just about the onboarding. It's that Elon in the early days, and I'm sure they still do it, they don't rely on what's it called? I'm forgetting again the name of the Indeed. Is it not? No, not Indeed. What's the name of the?
You mean like LinkedIn, Indeed, or
Indeed or LinkedIn. I get it right. Yeah. He's not relying on Indeed or LinkedIn to get new employees in. They're out talking to professors at engineering schools and asking them who's the up and comer, like a football scout. Okay. They're scouting the top talent before they ever get to the degree.
Before they have a profile on LinkedIn.
Yeah, they don't put a booth. They're not putting a booth out on the campus on jobs day. They probably do that too, but no,
of course,
they're getting ahead of that entire thing by finding the talent before the talent is even on the market and grooming them before they ever. This has been going on for years and years and years, which is why. And then really important before we talk about anything else, mission, and the ability to communicate the mission. I used to say that I wanted on my gravestone that nothing happens until something is sold, because that had been my mantra. You can do whatever you want to in your company, but until you start getting some sales, you got nothing. You have a beautiful building and all kinds of offices and great accounting and computers. No, it starts when something gets sold. But I've changed my mind. Having an amazing mission and the ability to communicate it. Wow. I think that if you do that, you're going to get the sales. And that's what Elon does better than, again, he does so many things on such another level, but to have this simple mission statement about accelerating the future of sustainable energy, a simple mission statement, and then to be able to go on talk shows on television, to be able to go into interviews. He might even do your show or my show someday.
Hopefully.
But to go on YouTubers' shows and do these long-ranging interviews, to go on Lex Friedman, to go into that room with Lex and do a 3-hour sit down with Lex, and be able then to put some meat on the bones of that mission statement. Again, you show me another CEO that even has that kind of a clear-headed, clear, short mission statement that everybody can get and understand, that is so exciting that his companies are the number one place where people want to go to work. I want to go to work there.
I get what you mean.
Elon. I live close to Hawthorne. I could be down there.
Yeah, it's interesting because also you're right. The mission statements, for example, is for Mercedes is the best or nothing. Yeah, okay. What does it even mean? It's interesting because it doesn't have any meat on the bone, like you said, anymore. It's different. It's not the best or nothing because they are not in the EV space, at least. Maybe in the internal combustion engine space, I give you that. But the Maybachs are pretty luxurious. They are the best or nothing. I don't know. It depends on what you prefer. Or BMW with the ultimate driving machine. Is the Model 3 with track mode maybe the ultimate driving machine? We don't know. It's so that I don't know. That's not a real mission statement, and I think. Sustainable energy ties the importance of that topic, energy, like not burning fossil fuels all the time, is such a big deal that it ties into the mission and everything. And this is a real mission, actually, and that's why it's so inspiring for people also to work there, I think. And so I agree. That's the most important thing, and also. What I also like the sub-mission of Tesla or what they strive for is accelerating the pace of innovation. Is also a big one, I think, for that shifted a little bit in the history of Tesla. That this is the focus, or for Elon always was the focus to accelerate it, because I think no other CEO is thinking about becoming a spacefaring civilization, actually. And so this think this far ahead as a motivator for doing what he's doing. And I mean, this means so much because then he says, we have to accelerate the rate of innovation, that we go on space missions as fast as possible. And that means that even Tesla is just a experiment where we get the best technology out that we can use in space, or tunneling, for example, with Boring Company. Let's bore tunnels in Mars because it's such a bad environment. So we need like a base there. Maybe it's underground and stuff like this. And I can imagine that the radius of the boring head is exactly the size of the rocket, so they can just put it up there and shoot it up there. So yeah, something like that. I think it's very interesting to see. And now Tesla bot, also a very interesting project. This could also be very interesting for Mars, actually. So yeah, a lot of this. So very interesting stuff.
So then another thing that it comes back to, even when you talk about the mission statement and the method of communicating the mission statement, comes down a lot to ego. And ego has a bad reputation. You know, people think about people being egocentric and they're all that, or thinking that they're better than they are or whatnot. But ego, really, a strong ego is somebody has a strong ego if they actually are in touch with their actual capabilities. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are they truly capable of? And when you have that in your mind, then that's a strong ego. Well, I don't think I've ever seen a stronger ego, because who wakes up in the morning? So when I was a kid, your parents would say, you could be president of the United States someday. Until I was about 9 or 10, I believed that. Okay. Elon wakes up in the morning at age 51 and goes, I can take people to Mars. I can create a new labor force with these robots. I mean, who thinks like that?
Yeah, truly visionary. It's very important to
but not just visionary, but the vision. The vision plus the ego.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a visionary. I'll tell you right now. I'm not kidding. I don't mind bragging.
I know what you mean.
I've had lots of visions.
It's about execution, of course. That's true. That's absolutely true, of course. Yeah. Oh man, it's so interesting. But it's interesting to witness also the smaller steps that were happening until now. I mean, um, you talked about sales, and I think it's very important. He uses almost the tactic of software development, that you do click tests, for example, where even there's no product actually. It's just you try to figure out what do people want, and I think sometimes it is that way. This could have gone wrong, really tough. Because Elon sometimes goes ahead and presents the vision and says, "Oh, we're gonna do that in 2 years," because his timelines are so,
Yeah.
so like, yeah,
Now.
he's so strong, so fast. He pushes his also his workers pretty much with that system that he says, "Oh, so a realistic timeline would be 5 years. We're gonna do it in 2. We have to do it in 2." And that's what he communicates then to the world. And the world says, "Oh, he said 2 years. Okay, let's write it down. He means 2 years, actually." No, he mean, but if you look at a realistic time frame for something like FSD, this would be way longer than the
Well,
5 years. And
It's never
even
been, it's never been
yeah,
done. And
yeah,
it's the,
eh,
so- and according to everybody I talk to, it's the hardest thing that's ever been attempted by humans. It's harder than the Hoover Dam. It's harder than I mean, it's just like, yeah. And he says, "Oh, we'll do it, and we'll do it maybe by Christmas."
yeah, yeah. And for me, it wouldn't astonish me if it isn't ready at Christmas, and I don't care, because let's have it, like, let's have
Next
FSD in
Christmas.
5 years. I don't care. It's if it's there, it will revolutionize transportation so big, in a big way, that also the utilization of a car. I mean, if you buy a car now, it's a depreciating asset. If you buy a Tesla with FSD, it's not a depreciating asset. You can just, I mean, how long is my car standing in front of my porch here? It could drive itself around. It could get charged with wireless charging pads that we've already seen in a small picture. They've bought a Freiburg, a company from Freiburg, which is specialized in Germany here, which is specialized on wireless charging. And we have some. I think they already test something like this. I'm sure in the test facilities or something in Texas, maybe, or I don't know. But they will have a concept where the car just parks and gets charged wirelessly, even if it's on a slower rate. This could be also a huge game changer for robo taxis, actually. And
Absolutely.
if it has a smaller battery, I think it's going to be charged very fast, and then and stuff like this. But yeah, maybe you want to comment on this. I don't know.
Oh no, that's just part of the normal stuff. That again, we talk about it a ton in the Elon Musk mission. I tell people that 20% of the Elon Musk mission is outdated now. Okay, it was written last November. It was written last November, and 20% of it is outdated. But 80% of it, it'll blow your mind, because there's still a lot to be done, and a lot that people still aren't talking about. Again, we're still not really talking about the potential for energy or for Cybertruck. I'm sorry, semi-truck. What I would also, just for fun, your audience might, if they follow me elsewhere, they know that I'm always making predictions about the near term as well. And last week I did get a lot of flack because I had said that the stock would touch 300 before the end of Wednesday, and it only got to 299.31 or something like that. I missed by 70 cents, and man, I got so many people giving me so much stuff about that. Anyway, but so
you lost some people a lot of money.
and then they complained that it went down the next day, and I'm like, well, 10 points.
You said touched. Yeah.
I said touch. I also said it would go down the next day. But I thought it'd go down like 10 points, what it normally does, but didn't take into consideration the options being closed out today. I was taking into consideration the NASDAQ resetting on Monday, but I believe that it was going to be, I thought it was kind of already worked through.
Yeah.
And then the biggest thing I didn't take into consideration was the potential for a blow off of profit taking on any excuse. we've gone from 100 to 300 with hardly a pause. The NASDAQ has gone up by 55% or something so far year to date with hardly a pause. It was time for some profit taking. This was the perfect excuse. And Apple and Microsoft and go across all the Magnificent Seven, they were down 2 to 5% yesterday, even though Tesla was down 10. I would have been unshocked by a 10 down. By the way, it'd be fun. It'll be fun to look just right now, just for kicks, just to see what we are before you end here. It'd be fun to look. Let's see. We are down $1.43. It's been up and down around that today, around break even today, down a couple, up a couple. That's probably where it's going to end. But starting next week, I would expect to start moving back up. Might take until Wednesday or Thursday after the Fed does their thing on Wednesday. But we should start moving back up again. And then when they announce the date of the handover of the Cybertruck, we'll start moving towards 350. So that's my current analysis.
Okay. Interesting.
400 all-time high end of January, and 700 end of year. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, that would be awesome, of course. And again, no financial advice alert here.
No.
Yeah, no, but
yeah.
So Randy, I really enjoyed talking about this. I think it's very important to look into the company culture. The modes of Tesla is pretty interesting. You've talked about a few here on the show. I think it's important that people read it. So, of course, check out his book. Randy's book is out at Amazon. I'm going to put a link down below here. And if you like Lars Strandritter, if you like, of course, Dr. Know-It-All, he also wrote a piece. And who else wrote something? I think
Brian Wong.
Brian Wong. Yeah, Brian
he's considered to be the genius of the Tesla community. You know, he writes a science blog, the nextbigfuture.com that is way over my head. Oh my! I have to call him and go, Brian, what did you actually mean by this?
Yeah. So it's packed with interesting information. Of course, follow Randy's channel as well. I think, Randy, we have to do this kind of thing again soon. I think even because we could talk for hours. I think and. Time just flies, and I think it's the most important thing to look at the macro and the mission and the also the modes of Tesla. I think it's very, very interesting. Maybe for next time you can bring more modes to it that we can just sparkle over the course of the interview. And so but one last question I have for you is how do you see the future going on with Tesla? Of course, it might be positive because you analyzed it so thoroughly, of course. But I really like that you analyzed this also, and it shows in the book. I've read. I didn't read the whole thing. I'm going to do it when I have the time for this. I think this week there might be a spot where I can read it, and I'm going to do it. And I also recommend everybody to look into the book, of course.
So I guess the overview for me would be, I think FSD gets solved next year. It might be this year, but this year or next, I don't think it'll be. I'm pretty convinced that they're almost there. That means robotaxi is shortly behind that. So we could be seeing some robotaxi somewhere, maybe California, Arizona, Nevada, Florida, the states that have said they're pretty wide open to it. So we could see robotaxi by the end of next year, the very beginning of 25. I think we'll see bots being sold in 2024, or leased, probably not sold, but leased. I think we'll see energy storage announcements, energy storage factory announcements, one after another. I think we'll see India Gigafactory. I think that'll be the next one. After that, it's a hard call. I was thinking maybe South Korea. It makes a lot of sense to go to South Korea. Anyway, I'm not really after India. I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure India is next. And then, so those will be the biggies. But one of my favorites that always gets forgotten about, I really want to see what happens with semi-truck. Elon says it eats up more soot, eats up more CO2, solves a lot of the problem with the braking dust that comes off of the semi-trucks. All these kind of things that are amazing. I'd like to see them do at least 50,000 semi-trucks in 25. and maybe 100,000 in 26, and then start building towards that million. So those are some of the things that are on my mind when it comes to Tesla.
Awesome. That's pretty awesome. I think pretty nice note to end the episode here, Randy. So if you have anything else on your mind, do you have something you want to plug, or you're working on maybe that you're inspired by, or you want to share with my audience or something? Or I don't know. Yeah. Or you can, I don't know. Okay. There's something I don't know.
I think I've covered it. Right now, doing 3 videos a day takes up almost all my brain power. What's one little step? So that's, and I'm no more books. I can reach so many more people by YouTube. Why write books? So anyway, but the book I consider to be one of my best. So I would encourage people to at least give it a try. It's so I think on Kindle it's $4.99 or $5.99. So it's not like it's a big ton of money. So
yeah, just check it out. I think also it's a very good thing to see. I find it very interesting. The parts that I've read already were pretty astonishing for me also, even if I'm in the community and I know what's going on, but still it's great to have the summary. It's almost like it encapsulates the whole, because there's so much happening, but it gives those key points so good. I think it's so good summary of everything that is happening there.
You did just remind me of something. So here's something that would make it worth buying the book all by itself. Okay. So you know that Elon has said that when the IPO happens for Starlink, that somehow the Tesla stockholders will get some kind of benefit there. There's going to be something that we're going to get out of Starlink. But a lot of people look at Starlink and they go, yeah, that looks like it's going to be a big deal. And that's going to be, there's going to be a lot of folks on Starlink. No, but if you read the Elon Musk Mission, you'll find out what Brian Wong says about what Starlink's really going to be able to do. And quite frankly, Starlink might be the biggest of all the Elon Musk companies.
Okay, interesting. So that's if that is the trailer, I'm not sure what is. So thank you very much, Randy, for being on. And for my audience, there's only one single last thing we can say to them, and that's goodbye, everybody.
Wasn't this episode awesome? Let's accelerate the pace of innovation by subscribing to Tesla Fix. It is my absolute favorite channel on the whole interwebs.